Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I watched the Democratic debates last night. It was painful. It was hard. I did not take notes as I did in the last debates, the 1 and 2, but tonight I am going to be watching the second debates, and we're going to do a AMA broadcast on both debates together. So let me just say this out of the gates. I get it why people say this is a circus and a clown show, because it is a joke. When I watch a 2+ hour debate moderated by Jake Tapper and the other guy, okay, and almost no significant questions are ever asked, there's just blind Trump hatred without pointing out any policies whatsoever. And the only talk of anything remotely anti-war is about Afghanistan, and that's great that that came up, and we'll go over that. But I didn't hear anything about Iran, and actually, I saw a lot of fear-mongering towards North Korea. So let's go down the line, because I'm going to forget some of these people's names, because it's like I got to remember a baseball team now, like a squad of 26. I think there's actually 21, and they don't have Mike Ravel up there. That'd be 22. They're doing 10. The one guy on the end, this was his first debate, and I am going to miss some of them, but that should show you how convoluted all of this is. Marianne Williamson, although she doesn't really say much other than, this country can do better and stop attacking Trump, they're trying to push her as like, the superstar of this debate, I suspect, to get her into the round of 10, because she probably is one of the more charismatic women up there. And I got to admit, out of all the lunatics up there, I would think that she's actually the most grounded outside of business. Call me kooky. Then you got Tim Ryan over here, okay? Yeah, I mean, everything Tim Ryan says is absolutely terrible. I think Tim Ryan may have been the person, and I'll give him credit for this. There's a lot of talk of Medicare for all. How are we going to do it? And there was a lot of talk of, what was it? How we're going to take down the corporations. How are we going to do it? All these kind of nonsensical things. And then the carbon trading and climate change is always a big issue. How are we going to do it? And he talks about, I want to say it was him, but I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if it was somebody else. I believe he was the one that talked about how in this country we passed prohibition because we wanted to get rid of alcohol, and then we repealed it. And honestly, I do kind of think that's a good idea. Things can get done in this country if by way of the Constitution and Bill of Rights. So I think this is Amy Knoblar. Let's. I'm gonna butcher it. So let's see. I want to say it the right way. Yes, Amy Klobuchar. I come close. And, she just keeps telling you how she's a winner. I can win here. I'm going to win there. I can win here. I'm going to beat Trump. And she actually, the one, I think, intelligent thing that she said is that not everybody that voted for Trump is racist. Really? Thank you for that. That's so nice of you, that about half the country that voted and many of his supporters that didn't vote aren't racist. That's great. Thanks for that admission. And her gleaming moment was that admission and saying, hey, there's a lot of people out there that voted for Trump because of the economy. And she's not wrong, okay? She's actually pretty right on that. Then we have Pete Bootlicker, a.k.a. Pete Buttigieg, and they push him, man. You could see in the run-up to this who they were pushing. Obviously, their big players to push 1 and 2 are coming up. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. That's who they want to get them into the next round of debates. I don't believe they really think either one of those is a good candidate to run. Maybe Warren, because she's so ridiculous. But, I mean, if they want to lose, they can run either of them, and we'll get to that in a moment. I would think Pete Bootlicker, they tried to push him and Beto. You notice they're the center four. They're the focal points. I think Pete Bootlicker's a much better sell than Beto on so many levels. And I understand that people are like, well, Jason, he's gay. I don't think that the left really cares about that at this point. Maybe some people on the left, but not many. And, I think he's married to his husband. He's a war veteran. He's smart when he talks. And for me, his shining moment And the one thing I can get behind him on is he says, and believe me, I don't like any of these people. They are all establishment politicians. I don't trust any of them. And remember, we're going to have the second debates with the next 10 tomorrow or tonight, and we're going to do a live AMA broadcast afterward. Anyway, getting back to Pete Buttigieg, the one thing we can agree on is Tapper asked if he would be able to get all the troops out of Afghanistan, not in his first term, but in his first year. Okay? And now I'm going to go on a little bit more because it actually involves Bernie and Beto later on. He says he can do it, by the way. Pete Buttigieg says he can get all of our troops out of Afghanistan. And he actually talked about how, he served in Afghanistan. And he thought he was going to be the last round in there. But again, if you've been studying this stuff, looking at it, looking how this is a agenda that goes beyond one administration or one political party, you'll know they have no desire to leave that Eurasian region at all. And if and when they do, there will be tons of U.S. military industrial complex controlled PMGs or private military groups in that region on behalf of our interests. I promise you that. And that's even more dangerous with a larger privatized military, in my view. Not that I want to be there, because I don't. Now, Bernie Sanders gets into this mix, and he says he's going to get them all out, maybe not in the first year, but definitely in the first term. And they say to him, well, how? Why should he? They compare it to Trump, because Trump said he was going to get us out, right? And he hasn't done so. And he's like, Trump's a congenital liar. I'm not. Come on, Bernie. I'm not the liar. Well, number one, you're not getting in. But number two, you are kind of dishonest on a lot of different things. His big shining moment was talking about the pharmaceutical industrial complex, and we'll get to that in a moment. Now, Beto O'Rourke, who literally trembles in his speech every time he says anything. He's a congressman out of Texas. I got news for you. They got a lot of congress people in Texas. You know why? Because Texas is freaking huge. And he lost terribly to Ted Cruz, who's very beatable in my opinion, even though he's done some decent things, especially recently with big tech. So he loses to him. And then I don't even know why they think they can push this guy. Wait a minute. I might have an idea. You got to understand, he goes with every talking point they want. Climate change, women's rights on every level. He's as beta as it gets. And his name's not Beto, it's Robert. And Robert was severely compromised as a young man when he was, I believe it's the cult of the dead cow. Let's see. He was a hacker. Let's see. Beto O'Rourke hacker group. And they got caught by the FBI, by the way. Let's see. Yeah, he was a member of the oldest hacker group out there. And what was it? He's a hacker as a teenager. All right? And he got caught. That means the cult of the dead cow, yes. The cult of the dead cow, old Beto. That's why they want that guy in there. He's severely compromised. They were happy to get him a congressional spot. They're putting him into the national limelight. That's how this works. He's a company man. He's compromised. He's not who he seems. He's another actor. He's not a good one. All right, so let's, Beto really, I would say, had zero good moments. He said, again, he could get us out in his first term in office. I don't believe a word he says. Now, Bernie Sanders, he kept talking about the pharmaceutical industrial complex and how, we can fix it with Medicare for all, but he's very open about raising taxes in this thing, 100%. And that's not going to fly, man. It's just not. And he's like, I took people to Canada and they got their insulin for 1/10 the price. And he's right there. So what you need to do is take the money out of politics altogether, get rid of lobbyists. Don't let the Pfizers of the world, the Bayers of the world, and all these other companies, that produce horrible things like Chantix to get you off cigarettes. You can go slow turkey. May cause suicidal thoughts or actions. Hell, you might take some other people out with you. We don't talk about the homicidal part first. So first of all, Big Pharma needs to be regulated, and I'm sick of talking about it any other way. Every time they do something that is atrociously beyond the realm, such as, let's talk about Pfizer recently getting caught suppressing information that a cheap arthritis medication could treat Alzheimer's because it wasn't profitable enough. Let's talk about Bayer injecting people with live HIV virus through factor VIII in the 80s and then pushing that in European and Japanese markets afterwards. Let's talk about Purdue and prosecuting that family criminally. If these people start going to prison and we re-regulate the system, well, we won't have that problem where the pharmaceutical industrial complex has us by the balls. And at least Marianne Williamson talked about the fact that, healthcare would be a lot better if we treated it as such where we had a better diet and it wasn't sick care. And she was almost the only one that talked about that as well. Dominique Autre, just for the hard work, my man. Thank you for that super chat. Really do appreciate it. So let's get to Elizabeth Warren. They want her so bad. She's a winner. They promoted her all day. I mean, Marianne Williamson and her, she's horrible. She's horrible. I mean, she's not likable. She's not smart. She's not well-spoken. She's old. She's out of touch. Not that we necessarily need somebody who's physically young, but just because she's saying she's going to break up the tech companies doesn't mean she's breaking up the tech companies. And I've already told you, this is a technopoly. They're not private companies. They're in bed with the military-industrial complex all over the place. Not only just with like big data, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, the NSA, those connections. The Washington Post owned by him as well. Him giving money to BuzzFeed and others. Not even just like that. Let's talk about Google, the operating system on your phone and your tablet, and them working with NASA and D-Wave systems with funding by Goldman Sachs for quantum computing. Let's talk about all that. Let's put it on the table, man. That's the real issue, and none of those people up there are talking about any of that. Zero. Zip. Zilch. So Elizabeth Warren, another part of the clown show. I could have put her in there with the Burnster, but I mean, come on, man. Like, give me a break. Can we do better? So let's go on. Like, I've already told you how I feel about compromised Beto, the hacker from the dead cult. John Hickenlooper. John Hickenlooper is there to be an establishment filler, to say things like, well, it's great to say we have to go out of Afghanistan, but I'm a total warmonger and I want to stay for the rest of our lives. But in a nicer way. He's a Bilderberg guy. He got tapped a couple years ago over at Bilderberg Group, and then all of a sudden, the Hickster, I believe he's a Colorado governor, he's running for president. And, I don't think you could take him seriously, but you could look at somebody that maybe gets a cabinet position or is a possible running mate for the right candidate, okay? So that's where Hickenlooper comes in. Now, John Delaney, he looks so goddamn awkward when he's up there. I feel for him because every time they go to the side thing, he's always jerking it. He has an awkward look about him. He's actually a pretty smart guy. He's a warmonger, which I don't like. And I also don't like how he's openly talking about bringing a carbon credit system in. That's the dividends will go back to the people. No, sorry, not a chance. I know he thinks he's looking at that issue from a business point of view, but any kind of carbon tax system is going to be completely detrimental to our society. Period. Amen. It's just going to gut the middle class even further. The upper middle class, you're also going to get gutted, and it's going to further widen the wealth gap in this country. So I'm not with that, Delaney. I do like how he talks about basically healthcare being a universal right. I believe that. Listen, if someone's sick, we should take care of them. And that doesn't mean, we should let somebody just abuse the system for cosmetic surgery or, because they want to have reassignment. That's not what I'm talking about. But everybody in this country should be fully covered in a medical emergency, on regular checkups, and dare I say it, dental as well, since your mouth health is also a big part of your body health. And then he says you can also buy in. And, the same thing with the guy to the left of him. I'm already forgetting his name. That's why we have the full list here. It was his first debate. Who is that? Tim Ryan. Steve Bullock. Steve Bullock. And the one thing that I will give Steve Bullock credit for in this entire deal is that at least Bullock is not a huge gun grabber. You know, he was the only person to talk about the gun issue as a mental health issue. So that's about it. Other than that, it was soft. You know, again, they fear-mongered about North Korea. I wouldn't talk to that. He's firing missiles, little rocket man. We need more diplomacy. That's one of the good things Trump's doing, is trying to reach out to that community to not fear-monger and escalate things there. No one talked. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I totally missed Iran. I got to admit, I was dozing off a little bit. It was a little long in the tooth, but Iran's just, I guess, not an issue. Now, tonight, we're going to have Tulsi Gabbard. I know a lot of you are excited about that. Later on today, I'm going to be doing a full piece about Tulsi on Tucker Carlson and how she came out on top in the debates. She was the most searched candidate. She actually had momentum. And then Google actually banned her from buying any ads. Must be Russian collusion, right? To get that Tulsi. Tulsi must be working with the Russians. And she has her flaws and she has her faults. And we go over those. But we're definitely going to go over that video. Again, I'm going to be watching the debates tonight. I'm trying to get a guest on so that with the Ask Me Anything after the debate. So if you're going to watch the debates, guys, please come and join me right after. I mean, we're going to go live minutes after the debates close out. And I'm hoping to get a guest on so we can get some multiple perspectives here. But truly a circus show. What is going on here? Let's talk about some real things. It was mostly Trump bashing and nonsense. It was a lot of dream stuff. You know, Elizabeth Warren's like, I can't believe people would be up here telling us how we can't do things. Why are you even want to be president? You know, God forbid John Delaney talks some sense for 30 seconds. I don't know, guys. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the debates. Who do you think came out on top? And by the way, who do I think came out on top? Who looked the best? Probably Pete Buttigieg. He continues to be, although he's a super establishment guy, to come across the most well-poised out there out of everybody. And listen, I get Marianne Williamson and why they're trying to push her as well. She did a pretty good job. I think that she's pretty honest. I don't know that she makes a good politician. Not that we want a good politician. I just don't know that her solutions are viable in any way. But that's just my opinion. Guys, with that being said, I am doing 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 videos a day. I interviewed Dan Dix of Press for Truth, who had his account suspended for confronting a biological male who wants to have unsupervised pool parties with 12-year-olds and is currently in lawsuits in Canada trying to have his his balls waxed. Yes, his balls waxed by females that don't want to do so. So you can check that out. We went over the Mueller testimony finally yesterday, and we deep dived Dershowitz for 25 whole minutes. A lot of Dershowitz stuff you're probably not aware of. All that and more. Now's the time to sub. If you're new to the game, become a member of the Burmese Brigade. Like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you can, I got to GoFundMe. That's how I'm doing this. Straight up. I'm doing it 7 days a week. I'm putting out 30-plus videos a week on things that matter. It's not about right or left. It's always been about right and wrong. And that's why I'm covering these Democratic debates not from a conservative point of view, but from a human point of view. And with that being said, guys, I will see you all on the flip side.